the sound of the satellite breaking through gravity. I am Jagger 67. I'm affected. You're selected. I want you with your twisted hair and your lip ring stare.
The future may have been revealed, but the present still has a story to tell. Welcome to the Arctic Circle Raceway in Norway as the ISR AIC arrives for round 8 of Season 7. The paddock has spent the last week looking ahead. The covers have come off next season's championship. Excitement is building for what lies ahead, and anticipation for a brand new era is growing by the day. But before we can turn the page, there's still a championship to be won. With just 3 rounds remaining, every point has become priceless. Momentum, consistency and nerve will decide who leaves Season 7 with the biggest prize in the sport. At the head of the field, Elliot Hall continues to lead the standings in what's been an extraordinary rookie campaign, but the chasing pack know the opportunity is still there. One mistake, one retirement, one inspired drive, and the complexion of this title fight could change in an instant. The Arctic Circle Raceway presents a unique challenge. We're in such a remote part of the world, and joining me once again is Jonathan Carrera.
Thanks, Toby. It's a great day for racing. Really looking excited for this track. It's very unique. It's in a really northern part of Norway. It's a very, very different track here. But, you know, we're going to get into this pole position. And here we go down the front straight. We're going to get right into this pole position lap. So, a little bit of throttle here. A nice smooth left-hander into a smooth right-hander here. Full throttle, not really letting go. We're going to slam on the brakes here a little bit. Try to follow that line through the corner. Another left-hander. Very sweeping track. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there, but, you know, he got a recovery there. A little right-hander here. This is a very fast track. I mean, very sweeping corners. I mean, the Formula 3 record here is a minute 20, so I couldn't imagine how fast these cars are going to go. And here we go back down this long straight into another sweeping left-hander. And into this, it was a nice little hairpin here. Found this lead car in front of him. You know, this track's very unique, and into this little right-hander kink here. Another little right-hander. You know, this track is going to be great for racing, you know, just long sweeping corners, like really no, you know, lifting of the throttle really until like these like sharp hairpins. But look at that, you know, right back on the straight already, you know, and there's a complete lap time of this thing.
Fantastic. So Colin McAllister taking his first ever ISR AIC pole position. Fantastic result from him and CGM Motorsport in general today. They've really unlocked their car around here. Of course, Colin McAllister takes his first ever pole position. Alongside him though is championship contender Jack Tolcher. Could be a big day in the office for Jack. He'll be looking to impress amongst some rumours that he might be leaving Sim staff. We said CGM running a very good car this weekend. They've managed to put Gareth Lennon in P3. He's ahead of Jonathan Carrera, who's looking to get his first points of the season. Toby Byrne lines up in P5, sort of searching for a return to form, and Season 5 champion Douglas Anderson lines up in P6. Craig McDonald will then line up P7, and championship leader Elliot Hall in P8, coming off a run of bad races, will be looking to get back on the throttle today. Craig Evans in the top 10, P9, and Tom McDonald, the brother of Craig, up in P7, rounds out our top 10 today. Zach Swader will qualify in P11 after winning last time out, and Callum Spencer will be in P12. Sorry, it wasn't Zach Swader who won last time, it was Andrew Pafio. It's one before that. But Ed Cantwell last time out did again a 5th place grid penalty for his contact with Douglas Anderson. He qualifies P8 on the road, but only gets P13 today as a result. Hometown man Olav Odbud can only manage P15 around here, and then last week's race winner, the actual one this time, Andrew Pavia lines up in P16. A bit of fall from grace from him. Kevin Jacobs will line up P17, Christian Braslov, the defending champion, nowhere to be seen, all the way down in P18 as we stand. Philip Blum, another season of bad luck, looking like it's going his way once again, P19. Marcus Townend, another championship contender, 3rd in the championship right now, only lines up P20. JR Racing confirmed struggles with Joshua Wood in P21, and Ryan Hardecker, under some seat pressure we hear from Team Disconnect, will finish up in last. Because the Arctic Circle Raceway is the most northern racetrack in the world, it could host a 24-hour race and it will remain daylight the entire time. And of course, the first ever Drivers' Championship was won by Knut Martinsson of Norway. But who will win in Norway today? It's Colin McAllister on your left, Jack Tolchard on your right. Lights out, and away we go, looking to see who's got the best start out of the front three. We're flying into a very fast turn one. Gareth Lennon looking to go around the outside of Jack Tolstrad. He sweeps around the outside and he gets the move done. Fantastic stuff, and we've got cars flying off in the background. There's at least 2 cars there going off in the background of this lovely panning shot. Who is it? It's Elliot Hall once again. The championship leader is in the fence, and he looks like he's out of the race. A virtual safety car being deployed immediately. That could have huge connotations for the championship. We talked about Elliot Hall is coming off a run of bad races. It's happened again, and we talked about, John, this could be a fantastic day in the office for Jack Tolchard. It's really looking that way now.
Yeah, that was a really bad crash on this corner. It looked like everyone was just trying to get their positions locked in. They, just try to go for it. But, racing, you can't go for everything in the first corner. But, that's going to have big implications on this championship race because, not even close to any points going to be scored here. And it seems like round after round, he's getting really bad luck here, Toby.
Absolutely. It's been about a 3-round streak. Obviously, Elliot Hall had contact in Hockenheim. He had that spin in turn 1 in Silverstone, and now he's had a DNF in turn 1 in Norway. So, really bad luck all coming to Elliot. They say it comes in threes. He'll be hoping that's the last of his bad luck here for this championship. Toby Byrne lining up in P6. He's been chased by Craig McDonald, and Craig Evans sending it up the inside of McDonald. That was a late move. Fantastic move by the Scotsman, but it looks like he's got a bit of a weaker on the exit. The racing line favours Craig McDonald. It's the battle of the Craigs coming into turn 1. And sideways slide for Craig Evans. It looks like it's a very difficult corner to take into turn 1 because of how fast it is. It looks like you need to be head and shoulders above going into that corner, and side-by-side action proving Craig McDonald on them super soft compound of tyres is able to maintain his position for the time being. So we run on lap 2. It's a CGM Motorsport 1-2 on the second lap here. Very good stuff for them. Ed Cantwell, another championship contender, finished P2 last time out in Silverstone. Picked up a penalty that's proving quite costly here this weekend. He starts outside the top 10 on a day where his championship rival, his main threat Elliot Hall, is out of the race, so he needs to be making some inroads. Here's Elliot Hall's teammate Kevin Jacobs running in P14. So let's just take some inventory. Gareth Lennon obviously getting a fantastic start over Jack Tolchard and moving it up to secure that 1-2, and now he can be Colin McAllister's rear gunner, or he can go after his teammate up ahead. We talked about Jonathan Guerrero looking to score his first points this season. He's in P4 looking very good at the moment. Douglas Anderson has moved up into P5, a great start for him as well. Under investigation is that opening incident. It looks like it was Tom McDonnell and Marcus Townend. As you see, Marcus Townend looking for a potential move up the inside of Ryan Heidecker. He's lost a few places off the start, but no, nothing doing on this occasion. So lap 3, we're fully underway. It's a very fast racetrack here, John, and it's looking like CGM under control at the moment.
Yeah, they got off to a great start of this race, that 1-2. They're getting through these corners quick, but it looks like there's a little less grip out there this morning on this track. It's I think the elevation being so far north, temperatures aren't that great. Tire compound's really struggling to get some heat in the tires because a lot of these sweeping left and right-handed corners, it looks like they're getting a little loose, but, I think, if you're going to make a move, you're going to have to stick it to the throttle and just keep going through, so, let's see how it goes. It's a nice cloudy day. Let's see if the track can get some temperature onto these tires and all that, and see how this racing goes. But it looks like we have a incident under investigation. Let's see what the determination of that is going to be, Toby.
Absolutely. We are seeing, obviously, Elliot Hall and Tom McDonnell is the ones under investigation currently. We're riding on board with Craig Evans at the moment in P number 8, just ahead of his teammate in P number 9. A little bit of a resurgence for Northern Lights Racing. Of course, they've both just signed for Northern Lights Racing for another season, has these two. So we have... Is this another car? We have another car in the fence. Joshua Wood is the next victim of this circuit. The virtual safety car's been called. We are neutralising the race once again, and we have our third DNF in just 4 laps. We said this was going to be a brutal racetrack, but we thought that was because of the elevation changes, the speed, the temperature. But let's have a look at some of these replays off the start, John. Gareth Lennon went all the way around the outside of Jack Tolchard, and this is how he did it. Just gets the better initial launch, and there is some amount of bravery. Look at that, to go around the outside of Jack Tolchard. Commanding stuff from Gareth Lennon.
Yeah, he really put the pedal to the metal there and just stuck it through the corner. It was great moving outside, especially when your tires are really cold. He really prayed that the grip would hold on to there. But look, here we got Elliot Hall. Let's see how this start goes off. And, he's doing really well. He's getting to his left-hander. And then, just a little spin there. And then, we can't really see the contact that happened there that caused this. But, we get another angle of it. We'll probably see what's happening here. Here we go with Tom McDowell. Let's see how this goes because, this looked like a really interesting incident. He's going up the inside of left-hander here. Let's see what happens. Looks like everyone just got collected there, looks like. But, that's just part of racing, part of the first corner always. But, let's see what happens there for the rest of the race. And, we'll get back to it. Back to you, Toby.
So Joshua Wood is our next victim. He's just had Reinhard Ecker send it up the inside of the final corner. We saw this a bit earlier. The outside line gives you a pretty decent chance of holding your position. Joshua Wood defending on the outside, gets contacted by Reinhard Ecker, and look at that, pirouettes in front of him. And I'm really not sure how to call that one. Let's see this from Reinhard Ecker's perspective, hopefully. Yes, here we go. So Reinhard Ecker sends a move up the inside. Obviously, Reinhard Ecker under a bit of pressure, we hear, for his team disconnect this season. So he's wanting to get moves done, and that's an aggressive move. And he thinks he has the job done at this point. Joshua Wood tries to hold around it. Whoa, wow. Doesn't get much closer than that. Joshua Wood spins across the front of Reinhard Ecker. And I'm not sure entirely where the blame lies on that one. I'm not sure Reinhard Ecker did anything wrong. I think Joshua Wood may, in my opinion, have just been holding on to a position that was lost and unfortunately caught in the wrong part of the circuit and has cost himself a race here. It's really fallen apart this season, has the season for Joshua Wood. Winning, of course, in round 1, taking pole in round 2, and he's really not found it since. So the incident involving Hall and McDonald, there's been no further investigation. That's because, as we've just seen, as Jonathan's just walked you through, there was no contact between them. So those guys obviously just getting caught out by some very, very cold tyres. It's a rookie mistake from Elliot Hall for sure. It's a bit of a disappointing mistake for Tom McDonald. I'm sure he'll feel that way. Been in the championship, for 3 seasons now. So Philip Blum, main driver of Norwegian American Racing. Really a team that would have been hoping for more at their half-home Grand Prix this season. It's not really doing much for them at the moment. Both cars outside of the top 10. We're right on board with Reinhard Ecker. Reinhard Ecker started last. Of course, there's been a few casualties this race, but he has moved up into P18 of the cars that are still running. He made a move on Josh Wood. He made a move on Marcus Townend. So we've seen, for lack of a better word, a fire has been lit underneath Reinhard Ecker. He's been told he needs to finish, from what we understand, inside the top half of the championship to retain that seat, and obviously he's had a bad qualifying and the fire is beneath him as he tries to move up. The incident involving Ecker and Wood has been deemed a racing incident. So as I say, I think in my opinion Joshua Wood just holding on to a position that was long gone, and you can't really blame Ecker for it. So Joshua Wood found out the hard way and has unfortunately DNF'd as a result of that. Lap number 6 then, Colin McAllister leads by 1 second to Gareth Lennon. Of course, we have a team announcement coming up then for ISR Season 8. Of course, you can go find out the reveal now. Northern Lights Racing has committed to Aston Martin. Something we all kind of expected. Obviously, Craig Evans has been a huge fan of Aston Martin. We always thought it was going to go this way, and it's now confirmed. SimStaff have also made a confirmation. They're going to commit to Mercedes for next season, John. So we're getting some interesting views on these competitors moving into Season 8. So we have Aston Martin, we have Team RN making a commitment to Ferrari. So we have 3 different manufacturers being selected so far in this Grand Prix weekend. Will we have any more? Let's have a look. And CGM, the leading 1-2 at the moment, they've committed to BMW for next season. So 4 teams with 4 separate manufacturers, John. We have a very exciting concept coming next season. And CGM going with BMW. They lead 1-2, and they'll hope that BMW will bring more similar fortune.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's coming into their teams now. There's not that many races left in this season. And, watching hypercar racing, and you know how these cars are, they're like closed cockpit F1 cars at this point, the way this technology goes. But, seeing everyone committing to these cars, I mean, the Valkyrie has been really good. Can't wait to hear that screaming V12 go down the front straight of some of these courses. And, I just noticed something. On this little right-hander kink here, it looks like they're getting a little loose. It looks like every car is getting loose there. There's a lot of tread marks there. So, hopefully the grip on the track's getting better, but it looks like with this cloudy sky, it's not really doing too much. But, back to the next season, it looks like for, this upcoming hypercar season, the Ferrari is going to be a great contender. The Mercedes, we don't know much about the Mercedes. It's a new car in development. We're going to see what it can produce, We're going to see its results, hopefully. But, once it gets out on track, it'll be a great car to see, with that livery, especially for Petronas. But, let's see how, any more racing teams pick their cars, and let's see how they get along. Hopefully someone picks out the McLaren, maybe we'll see a couple more BMWs up. And we got the first pit of the race, and it's Josh Martin from SimStaff. Back to you, Toby.
You have Josh Martin pits from just outside the top 10 for SimStaff. Be the one to pull the trigger here. It's talking about the grip levels around this circuit, and that I think is played into quite severely by the temperature. Of course, we are, I think you said earlier on, we are only 19 miles away from the actual Arctic Circle. So it is very cold. Obviously, can be a bit lukewarm at times around here. It's quite close to the coast, so to get a coastal effect to neutralise some of the Arctic weather. However, it's still pretty cold for a race car. So obviously the track temperature being quite low, especially by these cars' standards, is probably playing into that low grip. And one concern I have for the pit stops is typically we get what's called an undercut, where you pit a lap early, you use the additional speed and free air of your brand new tyres to make up the deficit that you had to the car in front, and you therefore jump them in the pit lane. But what we rarely see is something called an overcut. Now that is where a car behind you pits, potentially struggles to warm up those tyres, and therefore you actually go a little bit quicker by being on them already warmed up tyres. So for Josh Martin, for me, he is the benchmark here to see what happens in regards to an undercut overcut. We see Christian Vrazilov looking to make a move on Andrew Pavia, but he's not close enough. Wisely backs out. He's probably seen what has been happening to cars around him who've attempted that. Philip Blum closing in on the back of Christian Vrazilov, and Colin McAllister, who pitted from the lead of the race, has just slotted out in front of this group, so good timing for him to get out in front of this battle. However, he is stuck behind Andrew Pavia, and he won't want to be there for too long, as Gareth Lennon potentially could be exercising that overcut theory we was just discussing. So Philip Blum inside the top 12. We have had a few cars pit. Jack Tolchard has pitted, of course. He's come out P14, as has Douglas Anderson, Craig Evans, Josh Martin, Kevin Jacobs and Marcus Townend. Everyone running on that C2 medium compound of tyre has pitted. And to give you an idea of how far ahead this man, Colin McAllister, was, he's actually the only one who's come out ahead of some people who have yet to pit. So Gareth Lennon comes into pit a lap later. Let's see the difference. Obviously, Gareth Lennon is running as a rear gunner for Colin McAllister so far this race, but of course he will be wanting to be the main man at CGM. He won't want to just give the win to Colin McAllister. So a little infighting within CGM here this afternoon. So Colin McAllister coming through into turn number 1. Where is Gareth Lennon? Just exiting the pit lane, and there goes Colin McAllister. So the gap remaining roughly around the same as it was. Gareth Lennon's not much lost much, not gained much. So I think the undercut sort of neutralised a little bit, given the track temperature, but the overcut evidently not that powerful either. So Jack Tolchard running well with. He has been told there is a weather event on the way. Yeah, exactly. What does a weather event mean, I wonder? Jack Tolchard running in P11 will want to know more information. And it looks like there'll be some fog to arrive first, followed by what looks like a snow shower. Interesting. Jack Tolchard obviously just as shocked as we are, John. Snow. Well, you said snow. What do you want me to do with snow? Is a brilliant reaction for a race driver in a Formula 1 car who's just been told there might be snow coming to this Grand Prix, John.
Yeah, it looks like he's very shocked at this weather report. But, it's not surprising being so close to the Arctic Circle. But, having snow in the forecast is definitely a unique, a unique thing for racing. Oh, a little, right there, literally what happened with Jack Tolchard, you almost got into a little collision there, into that hairpin turn, It looks like it's going to be a really, really good racing here, but with that snow coming in, we don't know what's going to happen there. The only time we've ever seen snow in an actual race was, back when LMP1s were racing on the Nürburgring, and it started snowing really hard during their practice times. And, it looked really cool and unique, and I think with these cars going around the corners and circuit here, you're going to see the effect of the snow blowing off the cars due to the downforce, and it's going to look like a really unique race after this. So, let's see what happens after that, Toby.
So, Douglas Anderson trying to follow Jack Tolchard through for that top 4 spot. And I think he may have been in the fight a lot closer with Jonathan Carrera. I'm not sure if Jonathan Carrera has lost a position. And Colin McAllister! Colin McAllister's in the pit lane. I don't think he's pitted again. Has Colin McAllister just DNF from the lead of the race, I wonder? We're riding on board with him on a replay now. What has happened to Colin McAllister? He's following a car ahead. It's a car that looks like he hasn't pitted yet. A JR. And, oh! Something's gone. Something has broken on that CGM, and that's a huge accident. Colin McAllister, that is devastating. He sits second to last in the standings. This was his day, and it's all come to an end because of this, John.
Yeah, it looked like he had a bad tire blowout on the right rear. It looked like the pressure of this track got to the tire and it just gave out, and that was just the end of it. But this was a really bad crash, too, into that sweeping left-hander, and the slow-mo doesn't do it justice. Like, it looks so bad. Look at his teammate right there. Oh, my God. Gareth Lennon was definitely praying that he didn't come back into him in this crash. But, Gareth skates by, then, now he's the last hope of this team, and let's see what happens. So unfortunate for McAllister. But here's a view from Gareth Lennon's perspective. that sweeping left-hander, little ooh, my God, just the car just went. That was a devastating crash. Hopefully, Colin McAllister's okay. We'll get an update on him. But, let's see how the rest of this race goes. Now, pretty much saying that anything goes now. Right, Toby?
Absolutely. There's no more infighting inside of CGM. All the engineers will be focused on this man, Gareth Lennon. Looks like he had a pretty decent gap to anyone else around him. A virtual safety car has been called. I wonder if that's a bit of a delayed reaction to recover McAllister's car. Racing continued for a little bit, so we'll see what has happened, if anything else has happened, or if that's just clear some debris. And it looks like it's neutralised a bit of an attack from Jonathan Carrera, who was looking to get past Douglas Anderson. As I just wanted to mention, just before all of that happened, I think these two have swapped positions in the pit lane. I think Douglas Anderson has managed to undercut Jonathan Carrera and get out ahead of him, because Jonathan Carrera was running in 4th, he's now running in 5th, and he's looking to try to get the position back from Douglas Anderson. Of course, these two went at it hammer and tongue throughout Season 5, and potentially these two reliving the glory days a little bit, pretending they're battling for that championship still, instead of battling for Jonathan's first points of the season and battling for Douglas Anderson to even get within the top 10 of the drivers' standings. So maybe reliving past glories a little bit, but there's nothing wrong with a bit of role play here and there. Douglas Anderson P4, Jonathan Carrera P5, two people we've seen next to each other time and time again, and Douglas Anderson getting the undercut on this opportunity. One person having a fantastic race I just want to shout out really quick is this man, actually, Craig McDonnell. He's gone from P7 on the grid to running in P3 at the moment. I'm not sure if he pitted under virtual safety car, which gave him a fantastic strategy advantage, but he's moved up into P3 and he's really done a good job with the Macca Motorsport team here today to pull that off, pull the opportunity of a virtual safety car off and get out ahead and basically get a free pit stop. That's worked out really well for the round two. Oh, someone's just gone in the background. Toby Byrne into the fence. Heavy crash for Toby Byrne. There's another tyre failure, I think. Toby Byrne in the fence. Another DNF for this race, and that was another high-speed impact. We've talked about track temperatures all day long, John, and now it's getting quite foggy on the track. I think the track temperatures are dropping even more. I think we've just seen another tyre blowout. Obviously, he's out of the way, so no virtual safety car has been called, but I think we're seeing some real pressure with these tyres.
Yeah, it looks really, really, really hard on these tires. It seems this altitude and just the temperatures. Like, I mean, the fog's rolling in now, so we don't know what's going to happen with that. Oh, what happened to Christian Razaloff here? He just went straight off. Oh my God, just these cars are just going out left and right. I think, it's a new track. No one's really raced here, and, it looks like, oh yeah, it was another tire blowout, just the left rear this time. Man, it looks like the tires just can't maintain, their fortitude here around this track. And let's look at it. We're with Toby Byrne here. He's getting through the left-hander hairpin here. He's going down the straight. It looks like he's having no problem at all with the car. Sounds like he had no complaints, but these tires are just giving up. Yeah, oof, a little kink there. Yeah, it looks like a tire blowout, but I can't tell what tire it is. But it's unfortunate for Toby Byrne. He had a good race going, but it looks like these tires just can't take the track. It's just really bad. You see a little bump there, and then left rear too. Yeah, it's an unfortunate race. Look, these tires just can't take this track, and just the pressure's happening on it. But let's see what happens, Toby. Let's see what we can get through this race without any more incidents.
Riding on Bob Zaxwood, and there you go. It pops in a straight line. Byrne does well to initially hold it, but once obviously he gets to that sweeping left-hand corner at such a high rate of speed, there is nothing he can do. And we have just seen two more drivers, Razalov and Byrne, fall victim to that in this race. And wow, yeah, like I say, it's track temperature. The track temperature's so low that we're struggling to keep pressuring these tyres, and maybe the combination of such a low pressure with these elevation changes, with these sweeping corners, with a mist now rolling in. Look how thick this mist is getting on the circuit as the Arctic winds roll in, as Ed Cantwell chases down Reinhard Ecker. Reinhard Ecker, by the way, another quick shout out before any more chaos happens, John. What a drive to potentially contribute to saving his career. He's been told he needs to step it up or he's not going to have a seat next season. He has gone from last place up into P10 at the moment. The only problem Team Disconnect have with this performance now is Ed Cantwell, who is challenging for the championship overall. He's running in P11. He's one position outside of the points, and it's his own teammate who he needs to get past to get that point. Now, ordinarily, you'd think, well, just call team orders, swap them around. But when you've just told Reinhard Ecker, if you don't score some more points, we're going to be dropping you next season, why would you then expect him to give up points for his teammate who's guaranteed a seat next season? So Reinhard Ecker might be displaying a little bit of selfish driving here to potentially save his own career, but that's going to frustrate Ed Cantwell, who has an opportunity to close in on Elliott Hall in the championship today. So Team Disconnect, through a little bit of politic play, have created quite a headache going on in the bottom half of the top 10 as we ride on board with Reinhard Ecker with 3 laps remaining. Can Ed Cantwell do anything?
Yeah, I think he's going to try to push on his teammate here and try to put the pressure on him. But you know what? He's not wrong for trying to be greedy for his points. And, look at this battle going on. Man, it is getting foggy out there. It is not fun. I don't know how they're seeing. And, the cars are getting a little loose through these corners. It's the track too wet right now. Is it starting to snow? Who knows? But it's really dark out there. It's getting, I can't see anything through these cars through the fog. So I can't imagine how these drivers are going right now. And, we're going to get a little bit. And Josh Martin's going to squeeze through. It just closes the door on him. But this is real dangerous racing. And it is snowing. Christmas has come early, everybody. It has come early. It is snowing on the track. This is a first for us in this racing series. And let's see how it goes. This is going to be a really, really, really big toss-up now. Who's going to go on intermediates? Who's going to really stay out on their current compound and try to make grip on the track that's left? Let's see what happens, Toby. It's going to be a really interesting race now.
It's a real gamble. There is only 2 short laps remaining in this race. We said it's a snow shower. They've been forecasting a snow shower. It has arrived, but how long is it going to be here for? If it clears up pretty quickly, then it's not worth pitting. But of course, you're leaving your drivers out on slick compounded tyre. Look how slow they're going. They can't see. They have no grip. And Gareth Lennon, obviously very nervous on the front, is saying you need to be on the ball with this, and they're saying they don't think it's worth boxing. And Gareth Lennon exercising those concerns that we're potentially putting on the table. What if you make that mistake and you think, yeah, it's not worth boxing, but then you arrive to a corner and there's no grip and you go straight on? So obviously these drivers all thinking the same. It's potentially not worth the pit stop for how short of a lap it is around here, because you're going to lose about 25 seconds if you pit, and then you've got to make that back up in just 2 laps. For the majority of people here today, unless you're someone, in my opinion, like Philip Blum, Marcus Townend, who's got no chance of points here, it is simply not worth the risk of dropping those track positions. So everybody is just basically coasting around the Arctic Circle Raceway at the moment. We're riding on board with Craig Evans inside the top 6. He's got plenty of experience in multitudes of races. He's done the 24 hours. He's done it all. So he's a man who's good in changeable conditions, and even he is taking it nice and slowly. Andrew Pavia has won some dominant races in a rain-soaked Spa in Season 5. He knows how to get around in these circuits, and looks like we might be picking the pace up a little bit. I think the snow has stopped for now, John, but the track visibility is still very poor.
Yeah, it looks like this track's just going to be really foggy for the rest of the race. But, let's see who's really going to take the dare here and just try to push it as hard as they can, Especially with this fog rolling in, the track temperatures are definitely below, racing, potential. And, let's see, hopefully no more tire blow. Hopefully these tires can last the rest of the race. And, we're on board with Zach Swader here, currently in 8th place. He's trying to really push really hard that car. But, I think right now, the way the field's looking, it looks like this may be the finishing part of the field. But, anything can happen, Let's see how the pace picks up here, because it looks like the fog slowly cleared out and the racing line's drying out. So, hopefully, we get a nice, little battle here and there for the ending. And then, we'll see how the race goes, It's going to be a really interesting ending, Toby.
Absolutely. So Callum Spencer running in P9, looking to close in on Zach Swader ahead for P number 8. And we rarely see those with the experience, those who just do so well in these unpredictable conditions, really rise to the top in these races. Andrew Pavia, we said he started P16 here today. Obviously he won dominant win in season number 5 Spa when we had that absolute monsoon roll in, and it's shown here today. He's climbed up from P16 into P7. Callum Spencer, we know he's very good in changeable conditions. He's good in the wet, sometimes nicknamed Dirt and Spencer. He's that good in the wet. He has climbed up into the top 10 amongst this chaos. Obviously Craig Evans, all that endurance racing experience, he's in the top, just outside of the top 5. But Gareth Lennon is on his way to win for the 3rd time, I believe it will be, in his ISR AIC career. here. He has not won since season number 4. It's been a long time coming, but Gareth Lennon capitalises on the misfortunes of Colin McAllister and wins the Norwegian Grand Prix. The Northern Irishman stands atop once again for years, but the big story here this afternoon, Jack Tolchard finishes in P number 2, whilst Elliot Hall DNFs. The championship is getting closer. Elliot is running out of free lives, but it's Gareth Lennon who reigns supreme here today in one of the most challenging races we've ever seen in the ISR AIC. Of course, Gareth Lennon finishes first. Jack Tolchard finishes in the all-important second place, and Craig McDonald having a fantastic race, obviously under that virtual safety car earlier on, to get a free pit stop and move himself up into the podium. Fantastic opportunistic stuff from Macca Motorsport here today. And of course, beyond that, Douglas Anderson and Jonathan Carrera relive past glories and go at it. Jonathan Carrera finally gets his first points of the season, and it's a decent helping as well, with 10 points on the board in just one race. Craig Evans will line up in P6 to pick up some more important points. Andrew Pavia shows his class in these conditions and comes from P16 to finish in P7. Zach Swader P8. Callum Spencer sneaks it into the top 9 as well to make it a double points finish for JSR. And then Reinhard Ecker having the drive of his life to come from the last spot on the grid here. This morning he qualified last, and today he finishes just inside of the points, clearing the last point on offer and denies his teammate. That will spark some politics in Team Disconnect, I am sure, but there's something about lighting a fire under a driver and telling them you might not have a seat that really brings them to life. Outside of the top 10, of course, you have Josh Martin in P12. That undercut really not working for him at the start of the race. Olaf Odvan P13, nothing doing for the hometown man here today. Kevin Jacobs 14, Marcus Townend 15. Philip Blum is the last of our finishers today, and then you have all our DNFs of Byrne, Vrazilov, McAllister, Wood, Elliot Hall and Tom McDonnell. What a challenging Grand Prix we have just witnessed, John.
Yeah, this was a really unique race, you know. The amount of DNFs, I think this is the most DNFs we've had ever in a race. But, you know, it looks like the tire pressure couldn't keep up with some of the tires. Just a couple racing incidents. But, you know, the racing overall was really good. It was, you know, really close. A lot of, you know, close call. I do like this track. I hope we come back here for another round next season. And, you know, let's see how it goes, you know. Look at the standings now. You got Elliot Hall, 86 points still. Jack Tochar, he's closing in the gap with 72. Got Ed Cantwell over here with 69 points. Andrew Pavia and Marcus Townsend, they're close, you know, 1 point apart. And look at that, Craig McDowell's right there breathing down their necks, you know. You got Olaf Aldervan here. He's, you know, 49 points. Josh Martin, Gareth Lennon, you know. This is a pretty close race, you know, in the round off the top 10 here in the standings. You got Joshua with 35 points, you know. We'll see how, you know, these standings change in the next 2 rounds, Toby.
Really shows you how quickly things can turn around in the ISR AIC, because Gareth Lennon was around, I think, very low down in the standings, in the bottom half of the second page, coming into this round. 1 victory, and it's put him inside of the top 10. But yes, Elliot Hall's free lives are running out. I think he probably only has one more get out of jail free card left. He's only got 14 points now to Jack Tolchard, and what will that make it? About 16, 17 points to Ed Cantwell. So he really needs to get the hammer down and get back on top and beat both of those guys next time out in Argentina. Christian Vrazilov and Douglas Anderson, they're separated nice and close. The ART boys equally matched throughout this season. They're doing well just outside of the top 10, but they'll wish it was for higher positions than that. Zach Swader P13. Toby Byrne is on the same points as Zach Swader, 31, tied for 30 to 14. Byrne could have had a good race here this afternoon, but unfortunately wasn't to be due to one of those infamous tyre failures. Reinhard Ecker puts another point on the board. His target is to finish inside of the top 11, so we've been told. He's got 4 more positions, and what does that make it? About 5, 6, 7 or 8 points that he needs to complete that. It's always possible, but it's very difficult to do. And then going on to the final pages, we no longer have Jonathan Carrera on the final page at the bottom. Everyone has now scored points, and ironically, it's Colin McAllister who started off in pole position, led most of the race here today. It's Colin who is now the bottom man at the standings, and that is heartbreaking for McAllister. Not something he deserved, but hopefully that means CGM has found some pace coming into the final few rounds. Simstaff, however, now take over the lead of the team's standings. They came into this 1 point behind Nemesis, but due to Nemesis not scoring any points here today and a great performance from Jack Tolchard, they now take the lead heading into the final 2 rounds. Team Disconnect is still right there, only 3 points behind Nemesis Racing, and then another 2 points down to JR Mobile 1, and then another 5 points down to Scuderia Alitalia. So the championship in both steads is still wide open, John.
Yeah, it looks like these team standings are really close. I mean, look at Nemesis Racing Team, Team Disconnect, JR Mobile One. They're all really close within each other. And Scuderia, they're right there with 89 points. But then lower on the lower hand, you got Macca, Motorsports, Arta West. They're gonna fight out for 6 and 7. And in every race here is gonna, every point's gonna count, because this whole, team standings, they're gonna change a lot. And especially with the, the unknowns coming up in these next rounds. So let's see what happens, Toby.
Absolutely. That was one of the most dramatic races we have ever seen in the ISR AIC, and it always promised to be so coming to this part of the world. But next time we go to somewhere where the climate changes once again, we travel to Argentina. The European stint of this championship is finally at a close, and it's time to begin the final descent with South America. Don't miss it. There's a championship to be decided, and until then, thank you, John, for joining me once again. Thank you to all for watching at home. Until then, goodbye.